Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. Good morning, stars, wherever you are. Good evening, good day, happy day. So, I am a couple of minutes late. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light, and this is my live Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all didn't just see that in the back corner. My dog was having his back to me because I was telling him he needed to come inside so I could go to work. He was not too happy. He was not too happy. I hope all of you are doing better than him and you are doing well today, this evening, whenever you're catching this. Bright sunshine, beautiful day, hopefully, for everyone. So, this is going to be the third of a series about the pole shift. I am going to put this all into a playlist. I haven't done that yet. This is the third in of that playlist, but do know I'm going to be referencing the pole shift during the Edgar Casey life skills studies, probably more on Fridays as well. I want to go back and remind people that I clearly said it will have nothing to do with a comet. That was a very clear statement. Today, this morning, for me, I received the current today, April 4th of 2025, the newest updated message from the Akashic pertaining to the pole shift. I wanted all of us to receive this message at the same time. I wanted it to be fresh and new. They started talking to me about the pole shift maybe 3 years ago. Now, beloveds, I know you have heard me said, those who have been here at Stars of the Morning Light for quite a while, I have mentioned what is referred to as the Great Crack. The Great Crack has nothing to do with the pole shift. I want to make that clear. It has nothing to do with the pole shift. That I will most likely discuss after all the luscious, beautiful months of going into a deep dive about the SUN. The beautiful SUN, which is our spring and summer here at Stars of the Morning Light, from all the myths, legends, religions, figures, what's going on with that SUN. So that will most likely come at the end of all of those discussions. Today, though, we're going to pull a card together for this message, and we are all getting at the same time, the same day, April 4th, 2025, because we're in this together, the newest message from the Akashic about the pole shift of Earth. The Zodiac messages will be going out to the patrons over the weekend, and y'all will be getting those next week. Oh, beloveds, hello, happy Friday. I see that Jackie J came in. Good to see you. Seeker of Truth Shelley, good to see you. Chloe, my dear, good to see you. Kim's in the house, good to see you. I do try to say hello to those who come in because I am live and we are a community here. So, kind of like our monthly Akashic messages, I believe I'm going to read it all the way through. I'm going to then discuss a bunch of stuff. And then I'm going to add on maybe a little bit of tidbits that have been given to me over the years. Especially towards the end of today's message, they're trying to highlight y'all have to grow with this process, right? So we're going to talk about that. So happy Friday. I hope everybody's elevated in love today. Yay, it's Friday. I'm in love. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I'm going to read it, then we're going to discuss it, then I'm going to read it again in its entirety. And it's long, folks. It's long. You'll notice my handwriting is sloppy when I have to write stuff. That was a quick, I'm not spelling right. I'm just going, receiving. But it's still long. It is very long. So here we go. Let's jump in. Let's get it done. All right. So this is about the pole shift of Earth, an Akashic Records message for 2025. Beloved beings of Earth, we have a long waited your interest in this matter. The current pole shift of Earth is natural and also dynamic in its proportion to you. The degree in which you free your minds of fears is in direct proportion to its seismic temperaments. Love and hate create different degrees of separation that will conclude the degrees of natural process. You are the stem of life on Earth. The pole shift of Earth, as it happens on other planets, is vastly on its way. It had already begun 200 years ago. Slowly, over time, in quotations, you have noticed the changes to the planet, yet disregarded its mirth for compliance and riches. For you to understand the magnitude of your disregard is going to take two separate, distinct moments that the earth will feel as if it is shaking all around you. Those two moments will forever change human realities. The first will happen at what many will call, quote unquote, Judgment Day. Who is to judge? Question mark. This rattle of energies will break the barriers of known realities. It is the first call to the great knowing. The second rattling of the earth will be further in the future, 152 years from the first call. By then, humans will have made a decision. The decision is yours to live as one in care of the earth or not. And that decision has not been made. Humans have made their decision 5 times before. The first one, no one on your planet knows about because it happened so suddenly and swiftly compared to the start life of first incarnation. Swiftly compared to the start life of the first incarnation. Whew. The 4 other turns, quote unquote, humans call themselves, in quotations, loyal to the thirst. This unbalanced loyalty to outside means was the, in quotation, X marks the spot of destruction. Be mindful that this message is for everyone. There is not human separation from one another who live on earth. As she feels, you feel. As he and she does, you also do. Currently, your thirst is great, and the lack awareness of no separation with the human race is still present. This can all change as many are adopting new ideas and customs of unity, quote unquote. Unity of man, planet, bird, and animal is needed for all to justify, in quotes, a slow transition for the pole shift and awareness of the two shakes. Without healthy, caring unity, the pole shift of Earth will justify greater harm than need be, let's say. You create not just with your hands, but with your hearts. 2025, as we've said before, marks a new era I can't say that word, era, sorry guys, era of man. The decision you begin to make now as individuals will begin the deterrence of cataclysmic disasters. As individuals, now is the time to focus on unity of all life on your planet. Allow the other planets to do as they do. You live on Earth! Exclamation mark. Be with her. Be with the birds and the animals and the trees and the leaves. Be the presence that chooses to walk softly on the earth instead of tanks and misery. Do not deny your connection to all things. It is your choice. The shift began 200 years ago, and mankind did not choose well in love. Make the next 200 easier for all. The first rattle changes from 3 to 5 to 7 years difference in time announcement, but do know the first call will come. Waters will open up. Travel will end for months. Mountains will cover cities, and frost will be in places it never was. Learn to I'm going real fast, folks. Learn to rely on one another. Learn to grow with the earth. Learn to be fair with your exchange of goods. Learn to feel the earth under your feet. And then it just stopped. That was their message. And I went through that pretty darn fast because that's how they, that's why my writing's all slappy, because they will just give the message. So there's a lot to go through here, though. And there is a lot of things in quotations. A lot of quotations. Meaning that is what they're referencing this as. So, I mean, they were referring to the two distinct moments of either like a shaking or a rattling of the earth. The loyalty to thirst. Whoa. That's a way to describe the human condition. Wow. Or our temperaments of now. So I will go through this much slower. And I really have to kind of pronounce when things are in quotations because there was actually a lot. So how are we all doing? How are we all doing? Ooh, oh, it's a lot. Okay. So let's go slow. But what's nice is there is a lot of hope in this. I mean, there's a ton of hope. And, I've been noticing, of course, everyone talking about the timeline shifts and the separations, like what people are noticing of conscious levels, separation wise. Noticing, or people talking about the Great Awakening or the Age of Aquarius or all these things, right? All sorts of things. And sometimes there's that atmosphere, that energy of danger, worry, fear. And then sometimes it's so much hope in the message that it's like almost we don't have to put any effort into things, which we do. I mean, we're not unified. We're not. So that kind of thing is more of the hope that I'll be focusing on. The unity of us acknowledging how much we are of the earth, in the earth. This is our home. And then of humans. So it's interesting what all is out there. It truly is. And y'all, we're getting this together at the same time. I got this morning. I recorded this down this morning. Because I'm going through this process with you, right? We're going through this process together. Let's pick a card and see what the Sacred Geometry deck says. So as everybody's kind of funneling in, Kim, yes, Kim says it feels like childbirth. It is. We're birth. How are we going to get a new earth if we don't birth a new one? I mean, yes, I think we can do this. What was interesting when getting this reading, and I might talk about it again when we're there, how they kind of separated birds from animals. It was interesting. Like they talked about how like we have to respect and love the birds, and then also all the four-leggeds. And I was like, that's interesting to make a very distinct. I mean, of course, they're different beings and creatures. Of course, they're different, but I don't think we do that. I don't think we put so much emphasis on how four-leggeds and two-leggeds are pretty darn different. Um, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe birds are kind of, what streamlines the two together, us and the four-leggeds, The birds have this awesome thing called wings, but we got in the January yearly 2025 collective message that it said that humans do have wings as well. So maybe that's kind of some. Oh, we just got a card. Maybe that's some kind of coherence. Maybe that's the word I was looking for. So this card just jumped out. Y'all witnessed it. Number 13, coherence. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for the optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. Oh my goodness, our deck, y'all, it knows what to pick. It knows what to jump out at us. Coherence. To create that new reality. I was actually with the Akashic the other day for myself. That's a beautiful card, folks. Because we had kind of a interesting, very interesting something that happened in the household. And it was like something from 20 years ago. And it was like this energetic thread that just, whoop, I'm going to sting you, right? From 20 years ago. It was laid down, definitely all taken care of by 2016. It's been quite a while, right? And it came up and just stung us. And I'm in with the Akashic for myself, and I'm like, what is going on here? I don't really live in 3D, but there seems to still be all these threads, these energetic threads, these cords attached to kind of like my old existence and my husband's old existence that, present themselves. And I'm like, this is what people call karma, by the way. As I'm talking to the Akashic. As what people would say is karma. And so I asked them, I said, how long or what do I need to do to have all of that dissolve? Because it could be hermetics that you study, it could be the scene that you study, it could be all sorts of different, even some Hindu stuff that you can study that would say, all energy, well, it'll dissolve into itself. Especially negative energy, it'll dissolve into itself, right? But I was curious, what can I do to help the process? What can I do to, really get rid of all these negative chords of our past 3D, life that do return occasionally? Because they do. People, places, and things. We all have this, right? And some are negative. So what could I do to help dissolve that even more so that sooner than later, all of the past, I don't know, starting from today, all of the past negative stuff is dissolved, right? Um, they once again brought me back to not just what my teacher says, but everything stuff I've said to you all. As in, when we manifest, well, Keep your eyes on the divine at all times and everything will be groovy and fine, right? Keep your eyes on the divine at all times and everything will be groovy and fine. That is a must, right? But we know that. But yet and still, something might sting. Something might come back up. And so I'm talking to him about this. What can I do to help move the negative energy that might still be lingering with chords that I'm not even thinking about, right? 20 years ago chords. How do I help that dissolve more? From things I'm aware of and things that I'm not aware of. And and they brought me back to the aspect of manifesting. And I'm talking about this because it is apropos to what we're discussing. To manifesting. And the card that just came out, number 13, coherence. I had asked the patrons this past year, and I even brought it up here before. We as humans, we manifest out of what we already know. What we've witnessed, what we've experienced, what we want, what we've seen, what we've heard. Like if we want a new car, we're going to base that manifestation on what's available right now. If we want a new career, we're going to base a lot of that manifestation on what is present right now to choose from. This is when Carl Jung will say there is no such thing really as human free will because we're making choices and we're even creating manifestations based on what's already present. So how is that really human free will? We're kind of saying, no, that doesn't really jive with me. I guess I'll take this instead. So to manifest, create a whole new earth, a whole new resonance within yourself, vibration, frequency, consciousness is frequency, frequency is consciousness, to create all anew is what the Akashic said to do, to very much have the karmic residue that we might not even be aware of, all those little cords dissolve into themselves, hence disappear, right? Because energy can disappear that way because it's dissolved into itself and then it becomes something anew. To have that, well, then we have to focus on all new, on fifth, seventh, ninth dimensional thinking, existence, living, new earth. Difficult for humans to then manifest and create with that because we are so used to comparing it and judging it and creating from what is already present. When the Akashic was saying, Courtney, all anew. If I want to have the past completely be and all the disses, distant, dissolve, right? If I want it to be where it is in the past, well, then I have to focus completely on creating all anew and not pull in aspects from the past. Isn't that fascinating? And it's so difficult for us to create in our minds and our imaginations a world, a life, a future, a heaven on earth, a heaven in our hearts. It is so hard for us to imagine and create that out of zero reference to anything. But I wonder if we could really kickstart our freedom of expression, freedom of awareness, freedom of consciousness, freedom of informed awareness in this body, in this earth. If we could kickstart dissolving the wreckage of our past, collectively, individually, if we could truly kickstart it by allowing that energy to just dissolve into itself as we have steadfast focus on all new creations. I wonder. Let me know in the comments what that would look like for you. If you can even imagine. That's the difficulty of it. That's the difficulty of it. Is if you had a little wand that could create anything, would it look like what we've already seen? Or would it look like something completely new? Fascinating. One more time. Number 13, coherence. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality that we desire. As I hold this card up again. It's lovely, isn't it? Sacred geometry. Heart and mind coming together to create a new. All right, back to the message, folks, and I will slowly read into it again. All right. So this is about the pole shift of the Earth, the Akashic message for 2025. And this is April 4th, 2025. Beloved beings of Earth, we have a long awaited your interest in this matter. The current pole shift of Earth is natural and also dynamic in its proportion to you. The degree in which you free your minds of fears is in direct proportion to its seismic temperaments. Do know that when they had me write temperaments, I said, don't you want to say something else there? And they said, no, temperaments, meaning her, the earth. If we are still very full of a bunch of fears, well, she's going to shake and rattle as much as she wants. But if we're coming together, we're releasing fears, we're uniting and we're trusting. We have our eyes on the divine and her. Well, then her seismic temperaments might be a little bit more kind. So I'm going to read that section again. Beloved beings of earth, we have a long waited your interest in this matter. And I do know what they're saying about that. That is how we're, because of the internet, we are seeing a lot more dialogue happening about this. And we will in future years. And different opinions, conversations, what have you, from not just predictions and psychics to science and what are we going to do about it, and conspiracy theories as well. Like we'll see a lot of dialogue, but yet it's still the humans becoming interested in the matter. They're still becoming aware of it and interested in having these conversations. So they've long awaited for that. The current pole shift of Earth is natural and also dynamic in the proportion to you. The degree in which you free your minds of fears is in direct proportion to its seismic temperaments. So it's in proportion to us. We've always had a responsibility. We've always had a responsibility. We really just have one to work in harmony and care for the planet. That's literally all the only responsibility we've ever had. Oh, jeez. Back to the reading. Love and hate create different degrees of separation that will conclude the degrees of natural processes. So, the folks who have been here for a while at Stars of Morning Light, and this is a great time to hit that thumbs up for me, please. Share this out. Subscribe if you haven't already. The patrons of Stars of Morning Light and the viewers here were notified that a cycle is going to end. It's been decided. It's going to end. But to the degree of the severity of that ending, as we've talked about a lot in 2024 here, is based on us. And that is what they're referencing here. Love and hate create different degrees of separation that will conclude the degrees of the natural processes. So the earth is shifting. That is natural. That is natural. But how this plays out, how it will conclude and end, is based on us. You are the stem of life on earth. So in the January collective yearly message, they talked all in the beginning about the stem of life. And that we're going to understand that meaning even more so as we move forward. They are saying you are the stem of life on earth. We are connected to her. Our energy is connected to her energy. We went a lot through this last week for number 2 of the pole shift in this playlist. The pole shift of Earth, as it happens on other planets. Well, there you go, folks. Now, I don't know if we know that or if we don't know that. We are solely talking about Earth because we live here, but apparently this happens to all the planets. They just shift, move around, change houses. I don't know what they do. They just move around, as we probably know, right? But we're just talking about us. Because remember, later in this reading, they're going to say, let the other planets do what the other planets are doing. Pay attention to the Earth. Y'all are out there in the stars and the planets, but then you're trashing your own home. Like, oy. The pole shift of Earth, as it happens on other planets, is vastly on its way, meaning it's already started. It's vastly already going. It had already begun 200 years ago. Slowly over time in quotations. Now that was, y'all, so you know, in reference to how there is no such thing as really time. The circular motion of time, the multiple, all the times going at once, that actually was in reference to that. The reason they do that, putting time in quotations there like that, is not just for us to understand, because it says slowly over time. Our time here moves very interestingly to other, let's say, references of time. Time does exist. It just is not the same everywhere else. But time does exist. It's a marker, right? Same as you have identifying markers on your energy. Time is the word that is associated with the marker on the different energies. That's it, right? Identifying. But because they started to bring up like 200 years so we can understand this, they really wanted to put that concept of time in quotations in reference to it's fluid. It's very, very fluid. That was their first quotations, by the way. Okay? They really want to make that reference. Slowly over time, quote unquote, so fluid, you have noticed the changes to the planet, yet disregarded its mirth for compliance and riches. The mirth there, I asked, go with both. With the English language of mirth, as in happy, joyful, right? Suck the marrow out of life, as Whitman would say. I think it was Whitman. It was one of them. Or literally, I think maybe like the tree oil. How we suck basically the earth dry. So I'll read that again. The pole shift of Earth, as it happens on other planets, is vastly on its ways. That is a plural. It had already begun 200 years ago. Slowly over time, you have noticed the changes to the planet, yet disregarded its mirth for compliance and riches. For you to understand the magnitude of your disregard is going to take two separate, distinct moments that the earth will feel as if it is shaking all around you. So, for us to fully understand how much we have disregarded our home, it's going to take two separate, distinct moments that everyone is going to feel as if the earth is shaking all around us. In the last video, so part 2 of this playlist, I was talking about if we are shifting and the pole is going, right? It's going in that 45-degree angle, right? Like if this was its axis and it's shifting and going and going and going, there will come a time that it's going to have to drop suddenly. And then we'll kind of hover, right? Kind of where the equator would be, whole new equator. We'll hover there for a moment, and then there's going to be another jump or drop. Two distinct moments for us to gain the awareness that we don't, damage our home. Those two moments will forever change human realities. The first will happen at what many will call, in quotations, Judgment Day. So when the first distinct moment that it will feel like the earth is shaking all around us, is what many will call, quote unquote, Judgment Day. And then they said, who is to judge? Question mark. So when that happens, right? And they call that the first call. Well, we're getting into that. That's the first call. When that happens, and eventually, folks, I'm going to be going back to this. So, pardon this little footnote here. When we get through the stuff about the SUN in the spring and summer, the SUN, do not think I won't get to revelations. Do not think that I will not go into the predictions of things and talk about stuff. I will, because it's all about the SUN. So that Judgment Day will come up eventually, but that's a whole different category. Who is to judge? But we will most likely, as we're going through all this together, that will be the theme. And they're saying, who is judging you? when this is a natural process, all based on energy. This rattle of energies will break the barriers of known realities. This rattle, meaning the shaking, the first call, this rattle of energies will break the barriers of known realities. It's going to be an interesting time, folks, when we come together. It is the first call to the great knowing. I might handle that more so too later on. Just take that for its word right now. It is the first call to the great knowing. The second rattling of the earth will be further in the future. So we got to have the first to have second. So let's not worry about too much of this. The second rattling of the earth will be further in the future, 152 years from the first call. They just put that in quotations. So I guess we got to reference the first shaking, the first rattling as the first call. It's really the first call of unity. I guess I'll put it out there right now. It is the first call to true, authentic unity, because we will not be able to make it if we don't. Unity. Like hardcore. Hardcore. Unity of all things. That's why they ended the message the way they did. So the second drop. Got it? 152 years from the first call. By then, humans will have made a decision. We haven't even decided what they said at the beginning of it's up to you on how this concludes. So we hit the first call, the first rattle and shake. Based on that, based on the call to unity, not quote unquote like a call to arms, but a call to unity, based on that kind of thing, that's when 152 years later ish, because they will say times change by 3 to 5 to 7 years, which I understand that concept. Maybe I'll go through that with the patrons. As to how we change our energy, it can delay things, speed things up, delay things, speed things up, change it all around. And let's say we change it. Oh, it's off by 5 years. Awesome. Well, then we can do something really bad and it drops, 7 years. Then it just keeps. This is a little bit of the 369, a little bit, but that's actually a very different thing. Oop, sorry. I went off on my little tangent. But the decision on how things will actually conclude with the process of the earth turning is going to be based after that first call. Back to the reading. The decision is yours to live as one and care of the earth or not. That's it. That's the only thing we ever have to do as humans. But the loyalty to the thirst has us just forgetting and disregarding that is our only job. That's our only job. To live as one in care of the earth. Or not. That's the decision. That decision has not been made. Humans have made their decision 5 times before. The first one, so like the first cycle, ending and beginning, no one here really knows about. We don't have stories about it per se. We don't really. I've looked. I've looked because that's my job. I've looked and we don't really. Of the first one, as they state here, the first one on your planet no one knows about because it happened so suddenly and swiftly compared to the start life of the first incarnation. Those words are kind of spoken weird. What it means, the start of life, like the very first start of life, we're in it. We're going. We kind of mess up really fast. And there were still like planning stages. Like think of like a pilot program. Like we were kind of in this pilot program of like, oh, I don't even know if that's going to work out. Let's just scrap that. The only thing that kind of references this stuff is when we talk about like the first atom, when there's actually multiple first atoms, right? Things like that. Okay. Which I will be getting into much later. Still a part of the sun, right? The sun. So the first one, just know, I mean, it was quick and fast because it was like, wow, this is kind of garbage. These humans are, this is not how this is going to go. So it was a quick flip. It was a quick flip. It was a flip of the script, right? It was just, let's change this up. But nobody really knows about it because it was so sudden and fast in comparison, right, to all the incarnations that we've had, right? So we do know, though, of 4. We do know of 4. We've been covering that in the last video from last week, right? We really have. The 4 other turns. So now turns is in quotations here. So this is just a turn. A turn. When they reference this. See, it's like they talk in kind of very authoritative ways, and then they bring it back down into, this is just a turn, people. It's just a turn. The 4 other turns, humans called themselves, this is in quotations, loyal to the thirst. That is in reference whenever I talk about how 3D is the take consciousness, third dimensional consciousness living is of take, loyal to the thirst, loyal to the thirst. The 4 other turns, humans called themselves loyal to the thirst. This unbalanced loyalty to outside means was this is in quotations, this entire part here, the X marks the spot of destruction. They put that in quotations because they know that we understand that reference. X marks the spot. So us humans being loyal to the thirst, looking at all the outside means what is fulfilling us outside, thirst, I'm thirsty, take, I'm thirsty, was the X marks the spot of destruction. So the 4 before, as we know, right? Fire, ice, water, all these cycles that begin and end. Not saying it wipes out all of the human race, that's not what happens. But these cycles end dramatically, and they're telling us why. The loyalty to the thirst, whatever that looked like in that particular time. But we've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. Be mindful that this message is for everyone. There is not human separation from one another who live on the earth. And I asked them, shouldn't I just say there is no human separation? And they said, no, use the word not. And I was like, that's interesting. Kind of the same thing. Not really, though. It drives it home when we say not. There is not human separation, and those words are capitalized, by the way. So it would read, there is not capital human, capital separation from one another who live on the earth. As she feels, as the earth feels, you feel. As he and she, meaning all walks of life, humans, right? As he and she does, you also do. And that is reference to the thirst. Because there is no separation of us, we can be thinking that we're doing great and that we're laying it all down. But we are as I am as you are. You are as I am. Right? It is as we are. Currently, in quotations, your thirst. So they're talking to individual you, hey you, individual you, and collective. Currently, your thirst is great. And the lack awareness of no separation with the human capitalized race is still present. So I'm going to read that again. So your thirst is in quotations. No separation is in quotations. The word human is capitalized. Currently, your thirst is great. And the lack awareness of no separation with the human race is still present. This can all change as many are adopting, so taking on, we love it, good. This can all change from currently. They started that sentence with currently. So April 4th of 2025, currently your thirst is still really great. All of us, because I am you, you are me. It is as we are. This can all change as many are adopting new ideas and customs of unity, quote unquote. Blessed be, thank God we finally got to the unity. Whew. Customs of unity. Customs of unity. What would that look like to you? Oh my goodness. Let's start some customs. Unity of man, planet, bird, and animal is needed for all to, quote unquote, justify a slow transition for the pole shift and awareness of the two shakes. Before I continue, I want to say hello to everybody. I see Scotty Boy came in, Lori came in. Good to see you, beloveds. Good, good. Because now we're into the unity, the fun stuff. Let's do it, folks. Unity of man, human, okay? Unity of man, planet, bird, and animal is needed for all to justify, in quotations, a slow transition for the pole shift and awareness of the two shakes. So it might be referred to as that distinct moment that the world is going to shake, like everybody's going to know it, or rattle, right? They're using the term first call, shake, or rattle. We can clearly, it can be justified to the other, all the energies that are making this happen, and to the beloved earth, it can be justified that we can slow down this process and the awareness of the two shakes. When it says the awareness of the two shakes, now imagine if unity of man, planet, bird, and animal happens, and we're all working towards that better good of, all of humanity in the earth, and frequencies and vibrations are going up, and we're supporting this birth, we're supporting it, right? We're like holding her back, and we got you, lady. During that, we would also be gaining, just naturally, more awareness itself, right? Complete awareness itself. Which then, when more have that happening, well, then we would have more understanding and know how prepare for the two shakes, wouldn't we? If we were actually working together and relieving ourselves and caring about the earth, yes. So back to the reading. Without healthy, so without healthy, caring unity, so without healthy, caring unity, without it, we ain't got none. Pretty much the current. Without healthy, caring unity, the pole shift of Earth will, quote unquote, justify greater harm than needed or need be. This goes back to what they were trying to say. Everything that the Earth is going to do, remember when we talked about her seismic temperaments? Well, if we are without healthy, caring unity, mankind, animals, birds, plants, all of it, if we're without that, well, then she's going to justify all the energies within Gaia. She's going to justify a greater harm than need be. Right? But if we are together in unity, it will be justified, quote unquote. They put that in quotations both times. It'll be justified that we will have grand awareness on the rattle's coming. Let's get busy. Let's get ready. We can do this, right? That first massive like birth and pain is coming, right? We can do this. Both would be justified. As to the degree, as we already talked about, as to the degree that is in direct proportion to us, as to her temperament and what will happen. Back to the reading. You create not just with your hands, but with your hearts. 2025, as we've said before, which they have, if you've been here at Stars of the Morning Light, the stars here have heard it before. 2025, as we've said before, marks a new era. I always want to say era. Era. Sorry. Thank you for doing it again, brain. Marks a new era for mankind. The decisions you begin to make now as individuals. So they're talking about individuals right now. Will begin the deterrence of cataclysmic disasters. So the decisions we talked about this so much at the yearly 2025 Akashic message for the collective. We talked about it so much then. Please go back to the monthly Akashic messages. I also put that into a playlist that we did in January. This year, and I've been trying to prepare people for it, but that's okay. We're doing this together, right? I'm learning, you're learning, we're growing, we're coming together, we're doing it. This year, the decisions that we make individually, what we want to manifest, what we feel we're worth, what we want for our home and our family, all these decisions, how we're going to move forward, how are we going to release the fears, how are we going to create unity and community and love, right? Those decisions really are attached to that stem of life force that we have that is attached to her. And they really make a difference this year as far as moving forward. So I want to emphasize right now, y'all, it's not even the action steps right now. 2025 is make some decisions. Just make some decisions. What do you deserve? What do others deserve? Who are you authentically? Are you speaking are you expressing yourself? Whatever it may be, make a decision. That's all 2025 is. It's a series of like a series of executive decisions that the work doesn't even really start until towards the end of 2025 and definitely into 2026. But I know I live in a world full of people that is very hard for them to make decisions, even when they know it's a good thing for them. So it's going to keep coming up. It's going to keep being present in 2025 until you make these decisions. And the decisions we make in 2025 for ourselves that we haven't even done the action for yet will begin the deterrence from any kind of massive cataclysmic disaster. Can you imagine that? Just a decision that y'all can make this year. You don't have to know all the parts. You don't have to know how to get it done. You don't even need to know what it would look like, how you would express it, how it would feel. You don't even know that. But making a decision and then a commitment attached to that decision, that's a part of it. I should put that in there. Decisions and commitments, it's, they tango together to get it done. It can deter massive cataclysmic disaster. Just make a decision, beautiful people. Oh, lovely stars. As individuals, now is the time to focus on unity of all life on your planet. Allow the other planets to do as they do. You live on Earth! Exclamation mark. I have to repeat that. You live on Earth. We're always looking to the heavens. We're always looking to the skies when it's like, why don't we just look where our feet are? I'm sure there's some trash to pick up. God. Be with her. Be with her birds and animals and trees and leaves. Be the presence that chooses to walk softly on the earth instead of tanks and misery. Do not deny your connection to all things. It is your choice. The shift began 200 years ago, and mankind did not choose well in love. So everyone, stop right now. For whatever history you might know in your mind, go back 200 years. Since then, that's when the pole shift started. So if we can get I'll pause longer and just imagine 200 years ago. The shift kind of started then, slowly, over time, right? And they just said mankind did not choose well in love, which, knowing human history from 200 years ago, no, we did not choose kind in love. Make the next 200 easier for all. The first rattle. So that's the first time they put rattle in quotations. That is the first call, the first shake, the first rattle now in quotations. The first rattle changes from 3 to 5 to 7 years difference in the time announcement is in quotations, but do know the first call in quotations will come. So what this little bit here says, the first rattle changes from 3 to 5 to 7 years difference in time for the announcement, right? That first call, that first rattle, that first shake, that is the first announcement. Biblically, they will say you'll hear the trumpets, right? The horns of the heavens. No, the earth will be a shaken, right? It talks about it. Announcement. It's the first call to unity. That's when they're telling you, but don't ever pay it. This is why prophets and masters will say, we're not going to give you time because it's based on the human experience. It's based on our collective energies that she might go, yeah, we're going to keep adding on years. Like, what if we, because biblically they love 7. Let's just use that. 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, right? Which I had never done a series about the sevens, but maybe I will. Let's just use 7. It says 3, 5 to 7 years. Well, let's say for the next 7 years, we've made in 2025, you make a commitment and decision to yourself. Oh my goodness, you made that decision. You made a commitment to yourself. You have focused commitment to it moving forward. And in those next 7 years, you heal greatly. You're helping the community. You are rich in love and favor, right? Rich in love and favor. Well, let's say you do that for the next 7 years. Now, let's say a big portion of the collective does the same. How groovy would that be? Does the same. Well, then that changes her time frame and her temperament and how and to what degree things happen by 7 years. And let's say that feels so good that we do it for another 7 years. That changes. That changes. It just can layer. Now, let's say somebody comes on the computer screen and says, everybody stop doing that. We're doing it wrong. We haven't changed anything. We need to go back to the old ways. And we do something drastic. Well, then she might take away 7 years, take away more, and we just keep going backwards. Hence, that time is fluid. Fluid based on our experience. Fluid based on the energy that we are releasing and receiving, all in connection to her. So this is why they're telling you why. That like prophets, masters, no one can ever give you an exact time because it's based on too many variables. The variables is all the billions of people. But do know, and this is what they said, but do know the first call will come. Waters will open up. Travel will end for months. Mountains will cover cities. And frost will be in places it never was. Learn to rely on one another. Learn to grow with the earth. Learn to be fair in your exchange of goods. Learn to feel, that is in quotations, really take that in. Learn to feel the earth under your feet. And that's how they stopped it. They stopped the message there. Their last line, feel in quotations, learn to feel the earth under your feet at all times, people. So they give us direct things that we need to learn. Maybe it should be a part of our decision in 2025. Learn to rely on one another. I kind of giggle because I have a list in my head of, oh, so many humans I know that's going to be hard. Learn to rely on one another. Learn to grow with the earth. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Learn to be fair in your exchange of goods, like bartering, exchange of goods, prices that are fair, what have you. Learn to feel the earth under your feet. I want to go to learn to grow with the earth for just a moment before I let y'all go. So about 2 years ago, one of the little tidbits that the Akashic wanted me to pay attention to, because I do try to grow some vegetables. I'm not as great as some of y'all, but that's because I'm good at other things. We all have our gift, talents, and skills. That's why I love hanging out with people. And I learn to rely on others as they learn to rely on me. But one of the things that the Akashic told me, at least, is definitely probably about 2 years ago. But then I saw the evidence of it last year. So I'm thinking it's going to be kind of the same moving forward, folks. This is about our crops. That's what they're referencing as to learn how to grow with the earth. As she changes, we're going to have to change. As it's funny because when Brad and I moved down here, being, Yankees from the very rigid cold, and we moved to the South, I knew why we were moving south for many reasons. I wanted to be closer to the equator. And it was funny because at one point I told him, I said, Brad, even though the weather is going to be changing and it's going to be getting much colder, please take that in, folks, much colder, frost in places that have never had frost before, right? Much colder. I was like, still being down in the South, probably for the rest of our lives, we ain't going to see it as cold for as long periods as we grew up with, right? Being Yankees. Another thing though was my husband and I would know how to handle the cold. So we could actually help Southern communities understand, yeah, this is what it's like to really live with snow, to truly live with snow. This is how you got to handle crops, because crops are going to be changing from how you grow in the north, grow in the south, grow in the west, grow in the east, what have you, grow on this planet wherever you are. I'm sure it's going to be changing. So I also kind of told Brad, like, yeah, we can actually help. We can help people understand how to survive when it's bitter flipping cold. you know so let's talk about crops, because we're at the season. We're at the season to start planting. Probably most of you are probably already trying to dig in the ground and get it going and planting and getting your seeds going, everything. What I was informed, so I'm just going to tell you what I was informed. Take note of it. Do as you choose. Seeker of Truth, I think I told her this last year, maybe somewhere, because it was a private conversation with Shelly about her homestead stuff. Um, because of all the changing in the earth, she's also going to, it's like we have to adjust to what she's doing. And the sun. This also has to do with the sun. Because of these changes, we are so accustomed to you plant your seeds in the spring, you till and work and do all the back breaking labor in the summer, and then in the fall you get your harvest, right? Quote unquote, kind of we're loose interpretations based on where we grew up or live, right? But that's been the standard for a very long time for the human race. You plant in the spring, you work the fields of the summer, you harvest in the fall, right? That has been what we've known. What the Akashic told me 2 years ago, and yes, last year I saw the evidence, we need to shrink that down into so instead of like those kind of 2 seasons in a way, give or take, right? Mid-spring to about mid-fall, that time. Take that entire time, so 5, 6 months, and sum it into, like, 6, 8 weeks. But then do another round of it, and then another round of it, and another round of it. So what we are used to doing over 4, 5, 6 months, like I said, over from, let's say, May, June, or yeah, May, June, July, August, September, October-ish. Let's say that. What we're used to doing for like 6 months, we need to now bring that down into 6 to 8 weeks. And then do it again. And then do it again. So I don't know if this happened where you're at, but I was looking at all the homesteaders around me and all the farming around me, and even my own farm or my own growth. I don't have a farm of last year. And our plants, it could be like pepper plants. Pepper plants are used to growing real kind of tall, giving you a bunch of nice peppers. They were short, but they still gave enough pepper, bit smaller. Short, stocky, right? And that was going on with not just like the pepper plants, that was going on with lots of different plants. Short, stocky, maybe smaller produce, right? Whatever you're growing, vegetables, fruits, smaller. When we consider, let's say we grow a set of something for 6 to 8 weeks, and it produces pretty darn good in its short, stocky way, right? For those 6 to 8 weeks. And then we relieve that plant, right? We take everything out, we till, we rotate, we till, we rotate, and we put in the seedlings that we had already started the 6 to 8 weeks prior of a new plant. Now we're doing, you know, cantaloupe and something else, some kind of herb. We just got all the peppers we need. Now let's grow something else. Now let's grow something else. So this is them suggesting, and I was actually supposed to tell you this last year, but I had no evidence of it. And because I'm live, I can't pull up pictures right now. But I think a lot of you might have noticed changing in the temperatures, changing a bit in the seasons. I'm in northern Georgia, and it snowed last April here. You think Georgia is used to that? No. But if we shorten everything, which she is producing shorter for us, we have to get in groove with her. This also has to do with the sun. If we get in groove with her, shorter, stockier, but still producing, and then rotate in and out, rotate in and out, we would actually get a great quality and quantity of variety of crop that then you barter, share, exchange, have fair price for with others, that we actually will never really go without. And that frame of reference from the 6 to 8 mark, if we start rotating things in and out, start relying on others, fair market prices, right? All sorts of things, fairness, and we will actually never go without, because we can then utilize what is going to be happening with the sun and with the changing of the weather. With the changing of the weather. I'm going to say that again, the changing of the weather. We will actually produce more. But to us who are so used to the standard, plant in May, harvest in September, October, that's not going to work anymore. You're going to lose crops. It's not going to work. They're not going to be fulfilling. Rotate about every 8 to 9 weeks. Personally, what the Akashic would love to see everybody do, plant, harvest somewhere within that 6 to 8 weeks, pull, turn the soil, let it sit and relax for a minute, and then do your next round. So that is my advice. I was supposed to tell you a year ago. There's a lot of things that I'm supposedly supposed to tell you all, but it's hard when there's not enough people that have witnessed, or I don't have I have no evidence. I had plenty of evidence last year in my planting, and I'm pretty sure Lori just said yes. I know Shelly had evidence. I know the farmers here had evidence. So it's all going to be kind of changing up. Grow with her. When we pay attention and we feel her under our feet, she will guide us for our sustainability. She will guide us in our natural rhythm and flow. She will guide us when the cold is coming or when it's going to be intensely hot. She will guide us, especially when we do pay attention to the birds, the four-leggeds, the trees, the leaves, all of it. She can either be our destruction or she can be our delight. And it's really based on the decisions we're making in 2025. So, blessed be to all of you lovely stars. Lovely, lovely stars. Those are all suggestions from the Akashic. Do as you will, do as you might. And hey, if you've already this season, you got your crops all planned out, you already got an idea what you're doing, don't think that we're all in peril. You will still be fed. Pay attention though this year as to what your crops are doing, how are they growing, how they're doing, when do they kind of die out or when do they come in? Like, is it taking something way too long for some reason? Pay attention, because it might be it's trying to tell you, hey, I'm supposed to be on the third round, not the first. I would come in later because I'm doing something different with the sun, S-U-N. We will return to this, folks, but that's during the S-U-N conversations. So happy Friday, everybody. Scotty Boy said in the comments, snow, count me out. Yeah, tell me, brother. It still will not be anything that I was used to in the north. I don't know how people can do the north at all, but there's a lot of snow, folks. I know a lot of people that love the snow or definitely don't mind it. Everybody have a great time. A lovely weekend. Enjoy yourself. Lucky Stone 888 and I will be here at Star of the Morning Light tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please show up. And my dog just shook himself. He just shook, rattled, and rolled to say, Mom, time's up. So I love you all dearly. Have a great weekend. Thank you for coming. And please share this out if you believe it'll resonate with others. And definitely hit that like and leave a comment below. Bye, guys.